Hey everybody on YouTube, it's me, the Student Witch. So you can notice now that I'm not in front of the camera. This is because I still have some issues connecting my phone to my computer, so I can't really use my phone to record videos. I don't have enough money to buy a digital camcorder right now, so what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna start a new series. And this will be called Fireside Chats with the Student Witch, or something along those lines, because I can use my iMovie application on my computer to record videos, but the issue is the image is going to be flipped, right? And on top of that, at least the last time that I used iMovie to record a video, the audio and the video got out of sync. So I figured if I'm not in front of the camera and if I just give you guys a beautiful view of my altar, then the syncage issue won't be a problem. So here we go. Fireside chat number 1, Reflections on October. So here I am. It's November 3rd. Samhain, Dia de los Muertos, All Saints Day, All Souls Day, Halloween. That time frame is now coming to a close, and here we are moving on to November. I'm here enjoying a lovely adult beverage, a hot toddy, particularly Kentucky hot toddy, because I used the Maker's Mark that you see on my altar and to make the hot toddy, and I sweetened it with some Appalachian honey made by bees that are raised by my great uncle Junior in eastern Kentucky. So here we go. Cheers. Oh my god, this is delicious. So, reflections on October. If the month of September was a very Empress month for me, I worked a lot with the archetype or the image of the Empress in the tarot cards in the month of September as part of my self-love September work that I did as part of Kellyanne Maddox's movement. The month of October was a month of the lovers for me. That's because even though I saw my husband at the beginning of October, I really only had 2 nights with him because while he was here my parents came. And just focusing on the lovers helps to get through this long distance bullshit that we're going through and have been going through for a while now. Just thinking that union between me and him, that union that is independent of space and time, or at least that's how it feels like. So working with the lover's energy in that aspect has helped me get through October, which I feel like I really needed, and I think he needed too. The lover's energy has also helped me just unite several dualities. There's lots of dualities, right? And a duality, it's a construct that we human beings use to make sense of very big things like life and death, light and dark, known and unknown, the knower and the known, right? Masculine and feminine, whatever. So the Lover's card is a great reminder of how these dualities unite. And in many ways, these dualities, like I said, they're just constructs, they're tools, they're simplifications that we come up with to observe our world and universe, ultimately. Or at least that's how I see it. That has really helped me with continuing self-love work that kind of spilled into October, with my relationship to my husband, with working with the energies of death, the energies of Samhain, remembering that every beginning has an end and every end makes way for new possibilities and new beginnings, right? So that got me really into the Samhain Halloween groove. um, and so this is going to be a rambly video, but I need to ramble. So thinking of the ritual that I did for Samhain, which I made sure to make time for, because my time has been stretched and sucked up by all sorts of activities. I'm incredibly busy. But anyway, so I made time for a Samhain ritual on Monday, and really the ritual, it wasn't scripted, it was all improv. It was kind of spur of the moment kind of ritual where you just naturally just allow your instincts to take over and guide your actions and the steps to your actions. It's really liberating to have that type of ritual. And I'm the type of person who's kind of I can be a little bit of a control freak. I can be a lot of a perfectionist, and that's related to my anxiety. So by not having a scripted ritual, by just doing it, just letting my subconscious or instincts or whatever guide me, I feel like it's really healthy. It's been a really healthy practice for me lately. And so that's what I did on Samhain. And part of that work was preparing the 2 red candles that I have dedicated for Legua, the red candles that are behind the Maker's Mark bottle, because I had to clean and anoint those for him. And while talking to him, I was basically kind of talking to Legua that night about future plans. I was just figuring out my shit last night. I was figuring out the different timetables and different possibilities that I need to be mentally, emotionally prepared for, because a lot is in the air for me and my husband. He is hoping to graduate by next summer, the summer of 2017, in the Northern Hemisphere, which means 2 big things are going to happen. He's either, and hopefully, he's going to get a job here in the United States, ideally here in Boston with me, or if he doesn't get a job, then he has to go back to Chile because of his visa requirements and all that bullshit. So, big things are happening. So it was really nice to sit down and talk out loud to Elegua, to the universe, and figure out my shit. Try to prepare myself and think of all the possible outcomes of whatever's going to happen next after he graduates. So that led me to reflect on my relationship with the sacred and the divine masculine. I have been working, or consciously working, and focusing on and incorporating the sacred and the divine masculine into my practice since probably February or March. And the timing is kind of great, actually. I think that's a great time of year, like that span from February or March through October to the end of October. I think that's a great time to work with the sacred masculine energy, because if you think of the sun as masculine, and when I say masculine, I'm not talking about how human societies construct gender. I'm talking about, masculine in the Gnostic, mystical, spiritual, hippie woo-woo sense, right? So if we think of the sun as masculine like I do, then that time of year, the days start getting longer, it's the end of the dark winter, the Earth's, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, the Earth's relationship to the sun gets more direct. So And I feel like the sun's energy is still pretty potent even after the summer solstice in June, up until right when Samhain happens. And I think that's the reason that Samhain was the last, or as it's celebrated now, it's the last harvest festival, right? So I think that chunk of the year the sun is particularly important and potent. So it was kind of a great serendipitous, I don't know, overlapping of my own desire to work more consciously and overtly with the sacred and divine masculine. It was an overlap between that and just the natural rhythms of the earth and its relationship to the sun at that particular point in the year. And I can really tell that working with the divine and sacred masculine has been really, really, really beneficial to me. So I'm a cisgendered woman. I define and identify myself as a cisgendered woman. I strongly have a relationship with my womanness and my womanness as I see it and feel it and be it, you know? So I know that it's not hard for me to work with the divine feminine. It's not hard at all because the way that I feel it is that my body is an expression of this divine feminine. Just the curve of my hips, my cycles as a person with a uterus, my emotional cycles. It's just the divine feminine is all up in me, right? So I can't say that it's hard to focus on the divine masculine. It's just that I consciously had to do it. I had to make the decision to do it. And by doing it, it has since opened my eyes to the fact that there are many aspects of me that are masculine. Masculine, even, both in the hippie, witchy, spiritual, Gnostic, woo-woo sense, but also masculine, and even the sense of gender as our society uses it and defines it. Just ways that I'm very intentional with my actions, thought patterns that are very rational and calculated and rational and calculated, and just a very, there's good things to linear thinking. We need both linear and cyclical thinking, right? We need a balance between the two to be well-rounded. So in many ways, just the way I think and execute and plan, it's very, to me, I would characterize it as a very, sacred, masculine kind of way of thinking. And I didn't really see that or know that about myself, or recognize that in myself until I started working with the divine masculine and sacred masculine. And if you've seen my most recent altar tour video, which is from late September, I think, you'll know that I differentiate the divine from the sacred. So check that video out if you want to hear me explain that more. But anyway, so the divine masculine, it's represented in my bedroom altar. But here, the sacred masculine, the archetypes of the sacred masculine that I've been focusing on and working with is Saint Michael, the archangel, which you can see a small statue of him, and then Elegua. So it's been really illuminating, and I'm really glad that going back to Samhain, I'm really glad that I kind of had that light bulb go off, that I was able to recognize that within myself. and I'm finally beginning to see the payoff from working with and focusing on the divine and sacred masculine and masculine archetypes. My husband, a few weeks ago, he and I were talking on Skype one night, and I mentioned something like I'm beginning to notice growth and maturity. Growth and maturity that I set into motion a year ago, or even 2 years ago, since I started identifying myself as a witch. I planted that seed way back then when I took my first steps on this path, but I'm now becoming aware of how much it has helped me to grow and change, and I think change for the better, as far as my strength and recognizing my strength and how I feel more solid in who I am as, a person. My my ability to handle stress has changed for the better. I mean, there's still plenty of work to do when it comes to working on anxiety, but oh, this hot toddy is fucking amazing. I wish I could share this with you. But I'm beginning to see real growth, or I'm beginning to see the fruits of my labor, right? And my husband, he said, "Oh yeah, I was about to tell you that actually. Like, I've really noticed a difference in you, for the better." So it's just, I don't know, I've been thinking about a lot of this, and I figured I should make a reflections video, and I wish I could make more videos around Samhain. I know it's the witchy new year, and it's a witch's holiday, everybody loves Samhain, but I was just having camera issues, or, well, recording issues. So, yes. What else? I'm busy as ever. So kind of going along the lines of, recognizing the fruits of my labor and finding strength within me, and owning my shit, my life, basically. One good thing that's happened, and I knew about this a long time ago, but it's great to see it, in my hands. So my advisor, my academic advisor here at the university, her first book is now officially published and in print, and I got my copy today in the mail. Tomorrow she's having a party to celebrate, and I promised to make her bourbon balls. Kentucky bourbon balls. Fucking delicious. I made them for Thanksgiving last year, and she loved them. So, hence the Maker's Mark. That's why I have the Maker's Mark. Anyhow. So, she has actually cited my article in one of the chapters of her book. So my name appears in her book, and that is just fucking mind-blowing for me. Because to see my surname, or maiden name, my last name, it's the last name of my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, right? And this is the grandfather from Appalachia. This is the grandfather who dropped out of school when he was 8 or 9 years old to work on the farm. This is the grandfather who had 13 brothers and sisters, who grew up dirt poor, who only had one pair of overalls to wear, who ran away from home when he was 17 to join the Marines because joining the Marines was better than living in Appalachia. you know? And so just thinking about that and thinking about the fact that neither of my parents could go to college. You know, they graduated high school, but they couldn't go to college, and so thinking about where I am and what I'm doing and connecting that with my grandfather's memory, with where my roots are, it's just mind blowing to see my work cited in an academic book published by my advisor. It's just, yeah. um, so, fruits of my labor. But, you know, just when you reach the fruits of your labor, just when you reach the end of one cycle, a new cycle begins. So this new cycle, for me, when it comes to working on myself and my spiritual work, that's really going to be my focus on, or focusing on anxiety and getting a better grip on my anxiety. The new cycle when it comes to my academic work is going to be completing my PhD exams so that I can sit down and start working on a dissertation finally. It also means writing something that I can submit to be published. I would like to, by the end of next summer, submit an article to be published, an article that I can use as a springboard to develop in my dissertation. So, yeah, so I'm right now, and I think it's really timely that, you know, we just went through Samhain. We're entering that dark phase of the year. I really do feel like one cycle has ended and a new cycle is just beginning. So that's where I'm at right now. Thank you for joining me on this fireside chat. I will continue to do these chats until I can afford a video camera, which probably won't be until sometime around Yule. So yeah, so my next fireside chat I think will be talking about anxiety and doing those 2 videos that I mentioned in my previous updates video. So yes, enjoy your evening. If you drink alcohol and you like bourbon, go fix yourself a hot toddy. It's fucking delicious. Okay, bye everybody.